Yes, you're good. You're good to go, Carl.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. We're going to get started in just 1 second. All right, good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you all to our Prince George's County FY-2022 budget listening session. Before we get started, I just want to go over a few of the rules before we get started with tonight's proceedings. If you signed up as a speaker, please make sure your Zoom screen name matches the name you used to register. This will ensure we can identify and allow you to speak during the session. So in order to provide everyone the opportunity to present testimony this evening, a time limit of 3 minutes will be imposed on all speakers. A buzzer will sound at the end of your allotted time. So please be considerate of others and wrap your comments up at that time. For the hearing impaired, a sign language interpreter, as you can see here, and closed captioning is available this evening. To access the closed captioning feature, please make sure the CC button is clicked on at the bottom of your screen. So before we get started with our testimony, I will send it over to our County Executive, Madam Angela Alsobrooks.
All right, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I want to first thank Ryan Middleton for getting us kicked off here. And then I certainly want to extend my gratitude to Stanley Early and the rest of our budget team who have worked so hard to prepare a budget for us and to help us get through this budget season. And I'd like to thank each of you for taking the time out to join us for our FY-2022 budget process. We're all here tonight, as you know, to make sure that our county budget reflects the priority of Prince Georgians. And I appreciate all of you for taking time here to be a part of this important discussion tonight. Last year, I said that I would ensure that every Prince George's County police officer in the Bureau of Patrol would have a body-worn camera. And I'm so happy to report that we have delivered on this promise. We acquired body-worn cameras for every officer in our Bureau of Patrol, and we have a dedicated place to store the video that those cameras capture. This was an important step forward for our police department and for our community. I have no doubt that the video captured by these cameras will be a useful tool for concerned citizens and law enforcement officials alike. I wanted to start here because our success on body-worn cameras illustrates an important point for the FY-2022 budget process. And that is that even in times of uncertainty and hardship, we can accomplish any goal we set our minds to. Despite a global pandemic, I'm committed to moving our community forward in meaningful ways this year. And I'm glad for the opportunity to have input from each of you. We're working to provide our county agencies and programs the funding they need to succeed in FY-2022. Just last year, before this pandemic began, we worked hard to ensure that Prince George's County's budget reflected our proud priorities. Our 6 proud priorities include education, youth development, quality of life, economic development, healthy communities, and safe neighborhoods. The pandemic has changed much about our lives, and our budget will change to reflect this new reality. We're working to deliver on our proud priorities, and we're working to meet the immediate needs of residents, businesses, and families who have lost stability as a result of COVID-19. As many of you have heard, we're working to implement reforms to our police department that were proposed by the Police Reform Work Group, which I convened last summer. These reforms will help make our police department more responsive, more transparent, more accountable to residents. We will ensure that our FY-2022 budget makes the reforms we've announced a reality. We're also looking for ways to implement changes proposed by our Prince George's Forward Task Force. Just last week, the Forward Task Force released their second report titled Visions for Tomorrow. This is the second of 3 reports, and it contains concrete steps Prince George's County can take to emerge stronger than ever after the COVID-19 pandemic. Our Forward Task Force is helping us improve how we meet current and emerging challenges, while at the same time helping us to rethink our long-term approach to delivering services for our residents. This new Forward Task Force report contains 29 recommendations that I've approved for implementation. We will work to address the vaccine hesitancy that we're seeing, expand the Parent Support Center program, improve our regulatory process to attract new investment, offer mental health training for Prince George's County government managers to recognize signs of employee distress, and provide safe housing for domestic violence survivors, among many other important changes we will make to move the county forward. Through our upcoming county budget process, we will have a chance to hear from county agencies regarding their budget priorities for the coming year, but now we want to hear from you. We represent you and the services that our county provides for you. We want to understand how you want your tax dollars to be used. Your voice is a critical component in our budget decisions, especially because of the way our resources are divided. We have to be very targeted with our funding to ensure that we're meeting your needs and providing a government that is efficient and effective. Although your feedback and suggestions are essential every year, for the FY-2022 budget process, they have a special importance. Our county government has worked hard to identify the services and resources residents need in light of the changes brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. We need your input now to ensure that we're connecting every resident of Prince George's County with the services they need. We have a lot to accomplish this year. Next year, when we meet again, I look forward to celebrating all of the successes we achieved through this budgeting process. I truly believe we can emerge from this pandemic stronger than ever if we work together and put our best foot forward now. Once again, thank you all for being here and for being engaged with your county government. Your input makes a difference and helps us stay aware of the issues that matter most to Prince Georgians. With that, I'll turn it back over to our budget team to go over some logistics so we can get started. Thank you so much again.
Director Early, we'll throw it over to you for some brief remarks.
Thank you very much. I want to give some just basic context as to where we are in our budget process. It has been interesting, to say the least, and quite a difficult time, but we've been managing. One of the things that was a little bit surprising is what's happened with revenues to the county. We actually thought we'd see a decline, but we didn't see a decline. What we saw was no growth between fiscal 19 and fiscal 20 because of the pandemic starting this past year. And coming to this year, we've seen no growth again. And we're projecting again, we've actually had an outside consultant in addition to our own analysis. And again, it appears that while different items are going up and down, our resources are remaining very flat. So that means the good news is we haven't dropped, but the bad news is there really hasn't been any growth over time over the last 3 years, which is something that's pretty extraordinary. And fortunately, the aid from the federal government and the state government, particularly the CARES Act from the federal government, allowed us to invest a great deal of money in health and other relief items. But that was a one-time large item. There's some money going forward, and we don't know what the federal government will do and how it will affect us. But generally speaking, we have a situation where we need to be very conscious about thinking about what we add means changing from one thing to another as opposed to a total addition. It's going to be an interesting process, and the input that people bring will help in that process. That's really all I wanted to say, was to just give that sort of context of where we're at. And with that, I look forward to hearing people's input.
Thank you, Director Early. Again, we're going to be moving on to hearing from our residents. Each resident will be given 3 minutes to speak. Residents, you are currently listed as attendees on Zoom. So what we are going to do now is each resident is going to be brought over as a panelist. You'll be able to use your audio and turn on your camera as well to address our county officials. Again, you'll be given 3 minutes, and at the end of the 3 minutes, you'll hear a buzzer, and then we will politely ask you to move back to being an attendee, and we will go so on and so forth with our next residents. So our first resident we have here is Heather Hulsey. So Heather, we are going to bring you over in just 1 second. Hi, Heather. As soon as you start speaking, we will start the time.
Unmute. There we go. Thank you, County Executive Alsobrooks, for the opportunity to testify. My name is Heather Halsey. I'm the program coordinator for Maryland Market Money, a statewide food access program running at county farmers markets for the last several years. First, I applaud the county's dedication and you personally as a leader in the state to addressing and prioritizing food insecurity. I read the Community Connections newsletter. I see you. And I'm here to ask you to continue to provide DSS with the full funding and support for the Maryland Market Money program in FY-22. And I'd like to address how crucial our program has become during the pandemic. As you're well aware, the pandemic has created an even more dire situation. The county's food insecurity rates were already the highest in the Metro DC region, but from March 2020 to December 2020 alone, we saw an increase of 59% in county residents receiving SNAP. Now more than ever, Maryland Market Money's food access work throughout the county is essential and cannot go away. By lowering economic barriers to healthy, fresher foods that are unprocessed, our program responds directly to food insecurity by helping families afford fresh, nutritious, local food, while helping another economically hard-hit demographic in the process, which is farmers. With higher pandemic unemployment, your funding also supports job creation at markets by allowing a stipend for markets to hire food access coordinators. Augmenting the food budgets of struggling PG families is distinct from a food giveaway. Our program is an income-related solution that gives county residents the agency to choose the healthier food they want to feed their families and the ability to afford more of the fresh produce and nutrient-dense, high-quality food that their families need to thrive. When children lost access to school lunches due to the pandemic, it increased pressure on already strained family food budgets. And in order to address this, Maryland is participating in pandemic EBT, which can be used at any SNAP authorized retailer, and that includes farmers markets and direct market farmers. Our program matches pandemic EBT benefits issued to those families as well. Additionally, program data demonstrates that every dollar spent in Maryland Market Money is accompanied by $1.80 in federal nutrition benefits spending, resulting in $2.80 for local farmers who are also facing unprecedented losses in revenue due to the pandemic. So in short, this funding would be a multitasking investment that would help counteract the ill effects of the pandemic. It will help feed hungry county families, stimulate the local economy, create jobs, and support our local food system, all of which are vital to our long and uncertain path to economic recovery. Thank you for listening and for supporting our work to help county residents.
Thank you, Ms. Hulsey. We are now going to move on to Ms. Kate Deweese. Ms. Deweese, we're going to bring you over to as a panelist in just a second. Ms. Deweese, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. And thank you, Alsobrooks, for the opportunity to testify this evening. My name is Kate Deweese, and I'm a resident of Cheverly. I've been volunteering with the Cheverly Community Market for the past 4 years, first as their food and nutritional benefits manager and currently as their board chair. And in these roles, I've witnessed the county's dedication to local markets and to expanding our ability to provide fresh local food to residents, which is why I would like to follow on Heather's request that you preserve the funding for the Maryland Market Money Program in the DSS proposed FY-2022 operating budget. As Heather mentioned, the Maryland Market Money Program doubles the value of purchases made with federal nutritional benefits like SNAP at participating county farmers markets during the worst hunger crisis we've seen in our lifetime. As the board chair for the Cheverly Community Market, I care a lot about finding ways to make buying directly from local farmers easy and affordable. And from my vantage point, the Maryland Market Money Program has 3 very important outcomes. It increases access to healthy foods for those who need it most. And this, especially in last year's market season, meant making it so that families who received PEBT benefits could further the amount that they were receiving to make sure that their kids and their families continue to have food on their table at night. Second, it supports farmers' bottom lines. And as many farmers in our county struggle to stay profitable, farmers that are accepting SNAP instead of programs like the Maryland Market Money Program reported that they're able to diversify their products, add hoop houses and greenhouses to their farms, and increase overall production. And third, by encouraging food insecure residents to shop at local markets, we're also connecting them to other critical community resources. At the Cheverly Market during the 2020 season, we had community groups serve as volunteers to help ensure that COVID protocols were followed. In return, they were able to provide customers with information about their work during the height of stay-at-home orders. This meant that customers were provided with bilingual information about the census, voter registration, food collections and distributions, and COVID-oriented programs for seniors within the Cheverly community. It was a vital link between our town and the residents that at times are difficult to reach. So with this and knowing that this is going to continue well into the 2021 market season, I ask that you continue to provide the Department of Social Services with the full funding and support for this program. And I thank you for your leadership on this issue in the past.
Thank you.
Next on the list, we have Venetia Ali. Venetia, we'll bring you over in just 1 second. Venetia, if you'd like to turn on your camera, you're welcome to. And whenever you start speaking, we'll start the time.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. I am Venetia Ali, and I am representing Sally's Sunshine Foundation. It's a foundation dedicated to bringing sickle cell awareness to Prince George's County. We have a serious gap in the care for those who are suffering from sickle cell disease. And I want to tell you a little bit of a story about my friend Sally really quickly. She is 25 years old and she suffered from sickle cell anemia. On one December night, 2 days after her 25th birthday, Sally reported having difficulty breathing to the medical staff that was caring for her. She was ignored and was told that she was just having anxiety. And so she, in a desperate plea for help, called me. And I can still hear her voice saying, "Sister, help me. I cannot breathe." And I made several attempts to reach the medical staff to get her some assistance, and it wasn't helpful. So I called 911 and had an ambulance come to pick her up from that particular place. When the ambulance came, they delivered her to Southern Maryland Hospital. By the time she got there, she had to be transferred into the ICU. And by the time I met her there, she was on a BiPAP machine that was helping her to breathe. That was one of the most traumatic experiences that I've had, because I sat there all night with her, not knowing if every breath that she was taking was going to be her last. Because Southern Maryland wasn't equipped to take care of her and her condition, she then had to be transported via helicopter to Johns Hopkins University while in intensive care. As you can imagine, that's a tricky situation in and of itself, because she and all of her breathing apparatuses had to be taken with her on a helicopter to Johns Hopkins University, where she could get some care. Unfortunately, the next month in January, Sally passed away. There are a lot of gaps in our need, or there are a lot of needs for those that suffer from sickle cell disease. One of those is in Prince George's County, we need closer care. A lot of the Prince George's County residents that suffer from this disease have to travel very, very far to get good sickle cell care. Johns Hopkins being one of the best. However, if anyone has traveled to Baltimore, you know that that's a long trip, and it's especially a long trip when it's an emergency and you need specific care for the disease that you have. Sickle cell disease is a genetically transmitted disease. I know that there's a sexually transmitted disease focus and initiative on the health budget, but we definitely need to do some work on genetically transmitted diseases and create an awareness. It's a genetically transmitted disease.
Ms. Ali, we're at time.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ali.
Okay, our next speaker here is Rada Muthia. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing. We'll bring you over in just 1 second.
Hi, good evening. My name is Rada Muthia, and I'm the CEO of the Capital Area Food Bank. Thank you, County Executive Alsobrooks, for providing this forum and to provide input on your FY-22 budget. By the end of last year, with the support of Prince George's County and in partnership during this last COVID period, we estimate that the number of individuals who we were serving who were struggling to access their next meal in the county would have increased by about 21% to 145,000 Prince Georgians who are food insecure. In the last 6 months alone, we've distributed enough food to provide about 11 million meals to the county. This is already more than twice what we provided in the last full fiscal year. And as you all know, we expect to be providing food at this level for some time to come. Our focus is not just on emergency response with food, but also enacting change that will have the greatest impact on the lives of Prince Georgians. We've identified 3 policies that we would like to see included in the FY22 budget. The first is your Stand Up and Deliver program. The Stand Up and Deliver program has been a vital resource to those in need, and we were honored to distribute 1.2 million pounds of food to 10 sites that the program launched last summer. We hope to see this program fully funded in FY22 and remain a staple in the community moving forward. Additionally, we ask for continued expansion of data usage. We ask that the COVID-19 protocols that are provided to nonprofits who are participating and a means is created for those without cars or who have a disability or a compromised immune system to benefit from the program. The second program is the Utilization Commission. We understand this is a challenging and tough fiscal climate. Therefore, we ask for the creation of a commission that produces recommendations to increase the utilization of programs like SNAP and Medicaid and WIC, pandemic EBT as examples. There's a large number of individuals who qualify for these various programs, but for one reason or another, they're not receiving them. For example, in 2019, Maryland Hunger Solutions found that 55% of individuals who qualify for SNAP, that's 104,000 people in Prince George's County, are not actually receiving that benefit. That's millions of federal dollars left on the table unactivated for people who are in need. The commission would put key stakeholders and clients in the same room on a regular basis to discuss how best outreach efforts, system adjustments, or operations can be synchronized to be able to maximize impact. We believe the commission could be overseen by the recently created food security coordinator position in Prince George's County. The third and last program that we'd like to advocate for is the County Earned Income Tax Credit. The EITC is one of the most effective anti-poverty tools that we have in the United States. Maryland is one of 28 states with a similar credit, and counties throughout the state and the county are beginning to enact these local credits as well. And we request that the county slowly phase in a similar credit that will play a larger role in future tax seasons as the economic benefits of the pandemic linger. So thank you so much for the time and the opportunity and the collaboration and partnership. And we look forward to continuing to work with you in support of Prince Georgians.
Hi, Rahat. Thank you.
It's so good to see you. Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
And our next speaker is Leah Paley. Leah, we will bring you over in just 1 second.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, County Executive Alsobrooks. I am Leah Paley. I'm the Executive Director at Laurel Advocacy and Referral Services. For over 33 years, we've been providing critical services like food, eviction prevention, and long-term housing to low-income and homeless families and individuals in the greater Laurel area. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, our organization has adapted our operations to continue providing these vital services to community members on the brink of poverty. We're very grateful to the county for the financial support that has been provided to organizations like LARS in response to the pandemic. However, more funding is needed to meet the growing number of requests for emergency financial assistance. Increased funding from the county will ensure that our organization has the capacity to meet the growing needs for safety net services that the pandemic has created. We're therefore respectfully requesting that our non-departmental award in FY22 be increased to $140,000. While the eviction moratorium has been extended through the 31st of March, interpretation by Maryland courts and guidance issued by the CDC created loopholes allowing landlords to challenge tenant declarations and initiate eviction proceedings. The new guidance undermines the intent of the CDC's order by eroding protections for renters and making it more difficult for them to remain stably housed. While evictions dropped at the beginning of the pandemic, eviction rates have steadily risen over the past several months. An estimated 15.1 million adults living in rental housing, that's 1 in 5 adult renters, were not caught up on their rent. The percentage is even higher for renters of color, 36% Black renters, 29% Latino renters, and 16% Asian renters said they were not caught up on their rent, and that was compared to 12% of white renters. Every day, our staff is receiving calls from people who've never needed our help before. Our emergency services team of 3 case managers are struggling to keep up with the requests for assistance. We're currently booked through the end of March with our appointments. And despite this limited capacity, we've exponentially increased the number of services provided, preventing 95 evictions in the last year dispersing $140,000. And this was a 23% increase in the number of individuals and families assisted, a 60% increase in the total amount of funds dispersed. And community members who are seeking our services are disproportionately people of color. 66 of the 71 individuals who disclosed their race were people of color. And these are many individuals who are working in transportation, leisure or hospitality jobs, which obviously had taken a hard hit from the pandemic. We've established a number of partnerships with organizations like the DC Diaper Bank, also working closely with the City of Laurel. We partnered with a number of organizations, including Department of Social Services, to administer the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Between May and December, we assessed 934 individual requests. A total of 63 households received assistance, totaling $178,000. 2 case managers averaging roughly 10 hours per case. It was a lot, but we were excited to be able to provide that assistance. So I'll close by saying that in order to avoid pushing the most vulnerable community members into a deeper crisis, our organization requires additional funding to meet these demands. And I'll say again that we are requesting in FY-22 a non-departmental award of $140,000 in order to meet that demand. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And before we move on, I do want to reiterate, if you signed on as a speaker, please make sure your screen name matches the name you used to sign on, so we can find you in the list and promote you to being a panelist. We do want to hear from everyone who signed up. So if you are signed into someone else's Zoom, maybe a friend or a parent or your child's Zoom account, please make sure that you change your name to make sure that it reflects the name that you used to register to speak tonight. Our next person is Lisa Smith. Ms. Smith, we will bring you over in just 1 second. Ms. Smith, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good evening, County Executive Alsobrooks. My name is Lisa Smith. I'm the Executive Director of the Bowie Business Innovation Center, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak this evening. I also want to express my appreciation to you for the county's previous financial support for the Bowie Business Innovation Center. The county support has helped us leverage existing county business assistance and counseling resources and launch new initiatives to increase the growth and economic impact of county businesses. BUIBIC is a hub for business acceleration for Prince George's County businesses, and we're requesting continued county funding in FY-2022 of $100,000. BUIBIC is a nonprofit organization which has grown into a hub for business acceleration. From our location at Bowie State University, more than 1,400 small businesses, technology companies, and government contractors have accessed our programs, which represent the largest concentration of business scale-up resources in the county. Prince George's County support has been critical to our growth and our continued economic impact in the county. In November 2020, the Baltimore Business Journal ranked the Bowie Business Innovation Center the 6th largest business accelerator program in the Baltimore region and the largest business accelerator in Prince George's County in terms of clients. The 63 clients involved in our core business accelerator program and new 8A accelerator program reported more than 530 jobs and $70 million in revenues in calendar 2020. In June 2020, the International Business Innovation Association named BUIBIC the most entrepreneurial center of the year for our 8A accelerator program, the first in America. This is a program that's a special collaboration with the U.S. Small Business Administration. We've worked collaboratively with the County Economic Development Corporation and FSC First to develop and deliver the county's Emerge Stronger Technical Assistance Program from July through December of 2020. BUIBIC county funding continues to be leveraged with support from other public sector partners, such as the City of Bowie and the Maryland Technology Development Corporation, along with a growing number of corporate sponsors, such as M&T Bank, Capital One, Clifton Larson Allen, as well as the accelerator client companies themselves. BowieBIC established its business acceleration program at Bowie State University in 2011 to leverage the university's growing student entrepreneurship initiatives. Today, BowieBIC is a key partner with Bowie State University, and the value of student entrepreneurship is increasingly recognized as an important element in the development of innovative business and academic communities. The opening of the new Entrepreneurial Living Learning Center at Bowie State this summer and the relocation of BowieBIC to that building will stimulate increased student and alumni entrepreneurial activities. Mr. Brent Swinton, Vice President of Institutional Advancement at Bowie State University, has submitted a letter of support on our behalf and will also be speaking this evening. Finally, with continued county financial support, we can directly contribute to the county's economic growth through accelerated business development of the companies countywide that use our services, as well as the BowieBIC clients, Bowie State University student and alumni businesses, and the new jobs generated by these businesses. Thank you very much for your consideration and support.
Thank you.
And our next speaker is Brent Swinton. Mr. Swinton will bring you on just 1 second. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you, County Executive Alsobrooks, for this opportunity to participate in this budget hearing. I am Brent Swinton, Vice President for Institutional Advancement at Bowie State University and a proud longtime resident of the county. I bring you warm greetings from the students, faculty, staff, and alumni of BSU, which is not only our county's hometown historically Black college or university, BSU is Maryland's first HBCU. And we are so excited to have you as our keynote speaker during tomorrow's virtual spring convocation to kick off the academic semester. So thank you for that. I'm here tonight, as you just heard my colleague speak, to affirm the university's support for the Bowie Business Innovation Center, also known as BowieBIC, and their request for continued funding at $100,000 in the FY-22 county budget. The BowieBIC, as you heard, is an award-winning business accelerator that has been located on the campus of Bowie State University since 2012. Not only does the BowieBIC contribute directly to the county's economic growth through their work, but its physical location on the campus of Bowie State University and active engagement with our community enhances the learning environment for our students and future entrepreneurs. This partnership represents the only business accelerator program located at a Maryland HBCU, and we're awful proud of that. The BowieBIC provides our students and faculty with a unique opportunity to interact with entrepreneurs and small business owners. And the BIC plus its client companies also provide learning opportunities directly for the Bowie State University students through paid internships, class projects, and collaboration throughout the semester. Finally, BowieBIC is an essential partner of the university as we expand our entrepreneurship ecosystem and our focus on entrepreneurship in the academic realm, which will grow the impact of Bowie University Entrepreneurship Academy. BowieBIC directly contributes to the success of the Entrepreneurship Academy and our upcoming entrepreneurship concentration by training students how to start or help small businesses and how to think entrepreneurially within large enterprises. Our Entrepreneurship Academy creates a pathway for students of all disciplines, regardless of majors, to eventually enter the BowieBIC Business Accelerator Program and start their own businesses here in Prince George's County. For your previous support for BowieBIC, and I thank you for your consideration of my testimony as you work through the budget process for FY-22.
Thank you so much, Mr. Swinton.
Okay. Again, if you have signed up to speak, please make sure your screen name matches the name you used. Also, please make sure you're using your full name. You don't want to accidentally call on the wrong person. So please change your name to the full name that you used to sign up with. Our next person to speak is Julia Grenfeld. I will bring you over in just 1 second.
Thank you for the opportunity to testify this evening. My name is Julie Grenfeld, and I serve as the Interim Director for the Prince George's County Food Equity Council, a local food policy council that helps residents grow, sell, and choose healthier foods. I'm here this evening with our partners and members to respectfully request funding for the following priorities. First, to continue funding for the county's Maryland Market Money Program, which Heather and Kate previously spoke about, which increases the buying power of residents shopping with federal food and nutrition benefits at farmers markets. Second, to provide funding for values-based food procurement, an initiative to advance priorities and health through existing food purchasing. And finally, to create a full-time food policy director position and continue support for the Food Equity Council. This last request will be the focus of this testimony. Since 2013, the Food Equity Council has been working with county agencies and stakeholders to build a food system our residents can be proud of, including supporting food and agriculture business development, zoning incentives for grocery stores, improved permitting processes for farmers markets, and healthier kids' meals served at county restaurants. This past year, we've pivoted our work to help coordinate the emergency food assistance response in light of skyrocketing rates of food insecurity caused by the pandemic. We've launched the county's most comprehensive food assistance directory and secured funding to purchase additional cold storage infrastructure to increase provider capacity. As we expand our work to encompass both advocacy and implementation policies, programs, and emergency food assistance response, we've seen the need to both leverage our county funding to support this work, as well as see the value that a food policy director could play to enhance our work and ensure food, farm, and resilience building efforts are built upon and advanced from a seat within county government. Now more than ever, we're seeing the necessity of such a position. Recently, we've seen how jurisdictions such as DC, Baltimore, and Howard County have established government-based food policy directors to help coordinate food assistance efforts throughout the pandemic, attract food-based economic development, secure grants, and reduce spending. For Prince George's County, we envision this position focusing on addressing issues like rising rates of food insecurity and health disparities, particularly in low-income communities of color, as well as supporting expanding food businesses that have struggled throughout this past year. We appreciate your leadership and continued support for our work, and we hope that you will consider expanding this support through the creation of a county-based food policy director that could work in collaboration with our organization and members to create a healthier and more food secure county. For additional information on these requests, we have submitted detailed written testimony. Thank you for your consideration and allowing me to speak today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Christine Jackson. Ms. Jackson, we will bring you over in just one moment.
Good evening, Madam County Executive. My name is Christine Turner Jackson. I live in Mitchellville, Maryland. I am honored to represent the Prince George's County Memorial Library System Foundation Board. I have personally been impacted by the great work of our library system as a self-published children's author. The 2020 summer reading series, Antoine and Friends, sponsored by the library in partnership with the Washington Nationals baseball team, providing an excellent platform for myself and other fellow authors to engage with a broad audience virtually. In fact, our county libraries have always been an essential part of the community, but this has been even more evident over the past year. The library achieved many major accomplishments in 2020 that I would like to highlight today. The partnership with our public schools and community college supported virtual learning, contributed to reducing the achievement gap with free tutoring, standardized test prep, and early literacy programs. They addressed the digital divide by expanding free internet access with drive-up Wi-Fi and mobile hotspot borrowing. They hosted important programs on equity, diversity, inclusion, and anti-racism, like the Dr. Ibram Kendi event in July, which attracted over 226,000 live viewers. This event served to shine an international spotlight on the strength and leadership that exists within Prince George's County. They help unemployed Prince Georgians access tools, certifications, and courses that help them achieve their career goals. While the library stands ready to meet the economic crisis that the county is facing, I urge you to fund the library's budget enhancement request. For staffing, this will allow Monday through Saturday hours to be maintained and alleviate the need to eliminate Sunday hours. Without your support for the library's budget enhancement request, Prince Georgians will lose 4,992 library service hours in FY-2022. This prospective cut in service is a great concern, especially in light of the library's filling an essential role of connecting customers with programs, resources, county services that help them get jobs, stay healthy, and advance their education and remain connected. One of the primary reasons the budget enhancement is so critical is that the library will be opening newly expanded branches at Hyattsville, Surratt, Clinton, and Bladensburg locations over the course of this year and the next 2 years. And these branches are significantly higher in square footage and will require additional staffing in order to effectively meet the community's needs. In closing, I am a Prince Georgian who is proud of our county's library system. It is innovating, adapting, and helping our community not just survive, but thrive in the midst of many hardships. Thank you for your excellent leadership, and thank you for letting me speak to you tonight.
Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Chloe Waterman. Chloe, I will bring you over in just a moment.
Hello. Thanks so much for the opportunity to testify. My name is Chloe Waterman. I am a co-chair of the Prince George's County Food Equity Council and a program manager at Friends of the Earth. I want to start by saying to us, food equity means being able to find healthy, affordable, sustainable, and culturally appropriate and safe food in all neighborhoods in the county. It means working toward justice and economic opportunity from farm to fork. So I'd first like to thank you, County Executive Alsobrooks, for your administration's partnership on food issues over your whole term so far, but especially during this period of COVID-19. Coordinating nutrition security response with your office has been a huge part of our work to address the dire situation that COVID-19 has created for our residents. And while we've been able to do a lot for them, this pandemic, I think, has underscored the need to have a permanent food-focused position in county government so that we can be ready to respond when the next crisis hits and develop long-term resiliency and have a proactive plan for progressive food policy in the county. So I want to list a few important things this position could do. They could continue and expand the work of the Food Security Task Force that you created and create sustainable solutions to addressing rising rates of food insecurity and hunger. And the county is already funding a consultant position to coordinate this task force. So that position should be transformed after the period of the task force is over into a permanent staff position to carry on those priorities. We need someone to be able to address the persistent diet-related racial health disparities communities in our county face, to attract food-related businesses and tourism to the county, and to ensure the county protects and preserves its rich agricultural history and wealth of open space and environmentally sensitive areas. With my remaining time, I also want to ask for a small investment of $20,000 to support bringing the Good Food Purchasing Program to our county. We've spoken with your team about this idea before, and I know it's very aligned with your values and that you're supportive of it, at least in spirit. So I'm pitching it again here. This program would align the county's values with where we spend our dollars on food. So we should be buying food from farmers that are here in our county, from Black farmers. We should be buying healthy food that supports our public health and climate goals that we have in the county. But right now, we have no food procurement policies in Prince George's that ensure your values around healthy kids and safe communities are actually reflected in the way we spend our food dollars. So there's just a misalignment there. And right now, a missed opportunity to buy food that aligns with those values around racial equity, nutrition, environmental sustainability, fair labor practices, animal welfare, and others. This initiative is supported by the FEC. It's a priority for the health department's Healthcare Action Coalition. And frankly, $20,000 to get this program off the ground is a pretty good deal, I think. So I will conclude there. Thank you again for your time, for doing these listening sessions, and thank you for your leadership on food issues. It's really appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Barbara Davis. Ms. Davis will bring you over in just a moment. Ms. Davis, whenever you're ready.
I'm sorry, I did not sign up to speak. I'm signing up. I signed up just to listen.
Oh, okay, not a problem. Please give us a moment as we find our next speaker. Again, I want to remind everyone to please sign, make sure that your name is the same as the name you used to register. Our next speaker is Amy Pergoski. Amy will bring you over in just a moment. Ms. Pergoski, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Here we go.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Amy Pergoski. I've lived in this county for over 20 years and have volunteered at the county animal shelter for over 15 years. Today, February 9th, is the 24-year anniversary of the county's discriminatory, arbitrary, and expensive pit bull ban or breed-specific legislation, otherwise known as BSL. The law is unnecessary because the county now has a dangerous dog law that covers all breeds. For the past several years, I've worked exclusively with the dogs labeled as pit bulls to walk them, get to know them, and promote them to rescue groups. The pit bulls I walk at the shelter have all passed temperament tests. Even with the COVID restrictions in place and the shelter being closed for over 6 months last year, I transported 27 of the dogs labeled as pit bulls to rescues. BSL is a waste of taxpayer money because it's not reducing the number of pit bulls in the county. On any given day, there are dozens in the shelter and easily hundreds, if not more, in the public. Because of BSL, these dogs are kept in the shadows, not licensed, not vaccinated, not vetted. BSL is not based on science or facts. You are saying every dog that only looks a certain way is dangerous, and that's discrimination. The fact that the dogs you banish from the county do well in other counties is proof that the ban is absurd. Through my years at the shelter and through my social media account, I've met a lot of people who have moved out of this county due to BSL, and I've met other people who won't move to this county or even do any shopping in the county because of BSL. Everyone paints a portrait of the county as an inclusive community that embraces diversity and is welcoming to all, but it's not. You alienate good pet parents who have pit bull type dogs, and you vilify good dogs who have committed no crime. 7 council members rejected the BSL repeal in 2019. I have asked them long before COVID hit to visit the shelter and meet these dogs they're condemning. The county should also be communicating with the public that the ban is still in place through council newsletters and social media accounts. Of the hundreds of dogs that I have voluntarily walked, spent time with, and transported, the cities where most of them come from are Hyattsville, Capitol Heights, District Heights, Temple Hills, Upper Marlboro, and Fort Washington. What kind of outreach is being done in those areas? What are council members telling their constituents in those cities to stop the breeding of these dogs? The time to end BSL is now. Jurisdictions across the country are repealing their bans because they are putting facts over fear. Prince George's County is now entering their 25th year of fear over fact legislation. And for that, I'm very disappointed with the county. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Caroline Ackerman. We'll bring you over in just a moment.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine.
Good evening. My name is Caroline Ackerman, and I'm the Maryland staff attorney for the Amara Legal Center. Amara is a nonprofit that provides free, trauma-informed legal services to survivors of sex trafficking and to sex workers. Our practice areas include family law, criminal defense, criminal record relief, civil protection orders, and victim witness advocacy. Amara works with clients throughout Maryland, with close to half of our client population having cases in Prince George's. Working with our partners, like the Family Justice Center, the State's Attorney's Diversion Program, and the Human Trafficking Task Force, we identify survivors and connect them with legal and social services. In Prince George's, almost all of our clients have faced criminal charges either during or after their victimization. And this is often because they are not identified as survivors. Criminal records then create obstacles for clients to obtain safe housing and employment. Therefore, there is a significant need for expungement and record sealing. There's also a need for victim witness advocacy. So Amara represents survivors who testify as witnesses against their traffickers. As advocates, we ensure that survivors know their rights and that their rights are respected. This is especially important in Prince George's, where clients may be hesitant to work with law enforcement when they've been arrested in the past. Also, as a result of being trafficked, our clients sometimes face complex child custody issues, which are very difficult to resolve without representation. At Amara, we advocate for our clients to regain custody and visitation rights. Traffickers target individuals based on vulnerabilities, such as homelessness. As a result of deep-rooted systemic racism, Black and Latinx communities are more likely to fall within the marginalized populations that traffickers target. Amara sees this firsthand. Our client population is primarily Black and Latinx, cis and trans women. Considering the racial demographics of Prince George's, it is critical to address trafficking. Amara provides legal services at no cost, and the demand for these services is high. Traffickers' online recruitment increases during the pandemic, and the need for our services also grows. We are advocating today for civil legal services funding to increase access to free legal representation for trafficking survivors and sex workers. These funds will support direct service and litigation costs, outreach and training expenses, client transportation, referral systems, and capacity building. The funding will also support efforts to reach culturally specific, underrepresented populations so that all survivors have access to legal services. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Charles Sasser. We'll bring you over in just a moment.
Good evening, everybody. Can we hear me? Hopefully.
We can hear you.
Hi, my name is Charlie Sasser. I'm the Ag Marketing Extension Educator for Prince George's County. I work for University of Maryland. This evening, I'd like to thank you for having me on to testify on behalf of the Maryland Market Money Program. I guess my perspective tonight, I'm kind of here representing the farmers of the county and just gonna share why the Maryland Market Money Program is beneficial, not only to the citizens that are getting the extra value, as Heather explained earlier, for their federal SNAP, EBT, all of those, but how it really is beneficial to the farmers of the county. The Maryland Market Money Program it provides extra funds for citizens to be able to buy products from farmers, and that results in more money going back to the farmers of the county. The Maryland Parks and Planning gives a lot of money to this program, and so that provides that more of that money stays in the county. Back in the spring, I think we all saw the empty shelves of supermarkets, and if we really want to focus on regional food security, farmers markets are a very important part of regional food security and making sure that we can feed ourselves in this county, and we're not reliant on trucking or shipping or other parts of the country. And that all comes back to keeping the farmers in our county. And as I said, a big part of that is the profitability of them, which is assisted through the Maryland Market Money Program. Very short tidbit, kind of more about the economics and how Maryland Market Money Program is beneficial to the county. But as I said, I'm just here to testify on behalf of that and ask for the continuation of their funding. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mark Long. It's MARQUE. Mark, we will bring you over in just a moment.
Hi. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Mark Long, and I'm a Master's of Public Health and Health Equity student in the Department of Health Policy and Management at the University of Maryland School of Public Health. I'm representing myself as a resident of Prince George's County. In my health equity courses, I learned the importance of how social determinants of health, the conditions and the environments in which people are born, live, learn, work, play, and worship, and how they play a crucial role in shaping the health and well-being of people across the country. These factors are often outside of the healthcare sector, such as education, income, housing, and the environment, which are shown to have an impact on health outcomes. Last year, the County Council passed County Resolution 127/2020, a resolution where you recognize that a health and health policies or HIAP approach recognize that 80% of health is determined outside the clinical setting, namely through behavioral and environmental factors. This is a great start toward institutionalizing a health and health policies framework to guide initiatives across Prince George's County. It promotes intersectoral collaboration, thoughtful investments, and allocation of resources to promote better health outcomes and to reduce health inequities across the county. While this sounds really great, it's important that these considerations are reflected in the budgeting process, probably now more than ever. Given that the COVID-19 pandemic has ravaged Prince George's County and exposed the underlying health inequities prior to this pandemic, it is past time to consider how these different agencies play a role in bettering or worsening the health of all residents in the county. I urge you to consider these things throughout this budgeting process. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity for this testimony. Have a good day.
Just one second as we find our next speaker. All right, our next speaker will be Angela Smith. just a moment.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Wonderful. Good evening, County Executive Alsobrooks. My name is Angela Smith, and my family and I live in Upper Marlboro. I'm so pleased and honored to represent the PGC MLS Board of Library Trustees this evening. The mission of our county's library system is to build relationships that support discovery by providing equal access to opportunities and experiences. The library serves as a trusted entity in our communities, providing programming that allows us to connect with one another in a time when interaction has been limited, as well as providing a variety of resources that may assist us in our daily lives, both personally and professionally. Some of the library's major accomplishments in the past year include partnering with our public schools and community college to support virtual learning and work to reduce the achievement gap by offering free tutoring, standardized test prep, and early literacy programs, helping unemployed Prince Georgians access tools, certifications, and courses that will help them achieve their career goals, presenting important programs on diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-racism, like Dr. Ibram Kendi's event last July that attracted over 226,000 live views, and addressing the digital divide by expanding free internet access with drive-up Wi-Fi and mobile hotspot borrowing. My family and I have benefited from many of the online events and resources provided through the pgcmls.info website, which include things like participating in a winter reading challenge with the Washington Wizards, joining a virtual yoga session, and scheduling curbside pickup for library materials. While the library stands ready to meet the economic crisis the county is facing, I urge you to fund the library's budget enhancement request for staffing, which will allow Monday to Saturday hours to be maintained and limit service cuts and the elimination of Sunday hours. Without your support, the library's budget enhancement request, Prince Georgians will lose 4,992 library service hours in fiscal year 2022. This prospective cut in services is of great concern as our libraries are filling the essential role of connecting customers with the programs, resources, and county services that they need in order to get jobs, stay healthy, advance their education, and keep connected. I am Prince George's proud of our county's library. PGC MLS is working hard to fulfill its mission and boasts a wonderful staff that are committed to help meet the needs of our community. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you and for the work that you're doing to support our county and its residents.
Our next speaker is Liz Park. Dr. Park, we will bring you over in just a moment.
Hello, thank you for allowing me time to speak. I'm here representing the 5 youth service bureaus in the county. The youth service bureaus are located in Bowie, College Park, District Heights, Laurel, and my city of Greenbelt. We've also submitted written testimony for you, but I just want to summarize the key points. Youth service bureaus provide prevention and intervention, educational and support services to youth and families of the county, all of which have moved to virtual platforms to continue these services during the pandemic. YSBs are possible because of the partnership between the state, county, and municipal governments who all recognize the importance of mental health as a key component of a healthy community. We've all witnessed and experienced many disruptions, violence, and uncertainty due to the spread of COVID-19, the incidence of police violence, and the violence surrounding the inauguration. The youth and families we serve by our YSBs have been impacted by all of these on top of their normal stressors, such as substance use disorders, mental health concerns of anxiety and depression, domestic violence, grief, and of course, the financial stressors of under and unemployment that many of our families are facing. YSBs have been a 30+ year partnership between the county and the municipalities to assist the youth and families and provide them with the support, therapy, and resources they need to navigate these many challenges and changes. For example, while the school system has done a heroic job of moving to virtual learning, many families and youth have struggled to thrive under this model. Parents are juggling work and school while also worrying about paying their bills. I have spoken with many families concerned about their child's future and how this year will impact them. Youth Service Bureaus are providing family, individual, and group therapies for these youth and families, as well as parenting classes, tutoring supports, and financial resources. We're able to provide these services countywide because of these longstanding partnerships with the county. We're here to ask that the county continue its funding for youth service bureaus and all mental health services, and if possible, increase these resources to meet the growing demands that we are seeing at our agencies. And I thank you for this partnership that the county has had with the municipalities and for this opportunity to speak.
Our next speaker is Sequoia Tasker. Bring you over in just a moment.
Good evening, County Executive Alsobrooks. My name is Sequoia Tasker. I am speaking to you as the chairperson for the Prince George's Provider Council. We are a membership organization of more than 30 agencies providing an array of supports and services to residents of Prince George's County who have an intellectual and/or developmental disability. Together, we employ more than 2,500 staff and support over 2,000 people in the county. Our direct support staff, who are called direct support professionals, provide over 3,650,000 hours on an annual basis to support people with disabilities. Our direct support professionals are the heart of our agencies. Without them, our agencies could not function. Our direct support professionals are a key component of the county's safety net for its vulnerable citizens. On behalf of our membership, I want to thank you for your ongoing support through the supplement grant awarded by the county government. This supplement has assisted the membership effort to achieve some level of equality and with respect to wages in the DMV area. We sincerely appreciate the support from your office as well as the county council, and we look forward in this continuing. I am coming before you tonight to respectfully request that our grant be renewed for another 3 years with an increase of $1 million over last year's allocation. This would greatly help our members as we confront the serious crisis with respect to adequate staffing our agencies. Our field continues to face an alarming rate of recruiting and retaining qualified staff. In a recent survey we conducted, we found an average turnover rate to be at 42%, and the average vacancy rate is 15%. This rates are not impacting current supports and services, but it is impacting an agency's ability to take on new referrals. For example, there are approximately 100 students with disability who receive special education services that will exit the school system. Many of these students find supports and services with our membership. Currently, students from school year 2019 and 2020 are still seeking an agency for supports. In closing, I want to thank you for the opportunity to share our concerns and the need of our membership. We respectfully request the supplement grant be included in your FY-20 fiscal year 2020 budget and are hoping that you can see the need for the 1 million additional allocation. I have submitted our request along with a fact sheet and some vignettes regarding the work of our direct support professionals. Again, thank you, and we would be most happy to meet with you and or your staff to discuss concerns or questions. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tansy Flakes. We'll bring you over in just a moment. Tansy, are you there?
Yes, sir. I was here to listen.
Okay, not a problem. Okay, we are almost at the end. So give me 1 second. I'm going to look for anyone who might have been skipped over to make sure that we give them the opportunity to speak. Again, if you can please change your screen name to the name that you use to register, that'll allow us to find you. All right, seeing no other speakers, we are finished with our list. If there are any listeners or anyone who did not have a chance, the opportunity to speak tonight who actually did sign up, we are still taking written testimony. You can send that to omb@co.pg.md.us. Again, that is omb@co.pg.md.us. And before we close out, I will thank everyone for who signed up to speak and everyone who was able to speak. And before we leave tonight, I will throw it back to our County Executive, Ms. Angela Alsobrooks.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for facilitating tonight's discussion. Staying early and our budget team, thank you so much. I'd like to also say thank you to every single resident and those who presented tonight. Thank you so much for your participation and your presence. Your testimony, I can tell you, meant a lot. I really do appreciate, especially in these challenging times, all of the work that you do every day to make sure that Prince Georgians are cared for, from the testimony you presented regarding food insecurity to the concerns around our animal shelter services, also support for those who are victims of trafficking, and as well as Bowie State University. So I really just appreciate and other topics. Thank you so much for making your concerns known and your priorities known. I tell you, we do take it very seriously. These are very tough times for us, as you are well aware with the pandemic, but it's so important to understand the priorities that we all share, and we do our best to make sure that we support those priorities. So thank you so much again, everyone. Stay safe, and we appreciate again your participation tonight. Thank you and good night.